the top broadcast team in the city. It is Jim Jackson and Brian Boucher. Great to be joined by you guys. And the third host here, Turkey Hill Soft Serve Ice Cream.
This is how you guys got us here.
We had to lure you in somehow to sit down with us. We're really happy you were able to join. Just to kick it off, you've both participated in a ton of these over the years, going back to the Flyers Wives Fight for Lives days. How have you seen this event evolve and expand over the years?
Well, I got this like probably my 30th, I think, something like that.
Wow.
30th Carnival, and I got to do some over the Spectrum. And it was already big when I got here, but it just keeps getting bigger. They've told me there's 6,000 people, and obviously there wasn't a Ferris wheel back then. There's a lot of dunk tank's always been here, which you're going to partake in.
Can't wait.
So there's a lot of things that are still here, which is great because there's that sameness, but there's also, it seems like every year they add something different to it. But it's always great to talk to the fans, and as I always say on the air, having a great time for great causes. So you can't beat that.
Yeah, we've been, the team in a bit of a slide right now, but we've still seen so much positive support for this event. A lot of our listeners have, been so generous to give us donations that we, pass along to the charity. And the event of the fans coming together and getting to interact with everybody just seems like an awesome time regardless of what's going on the ice.
Yeah, I think, oftentimes the players are kind of insulated from the fans throughout the course of a season, but I think this is a great chance for the players to interact with the fans. And, if fans want to voice their displeasure, they certainly do it. I mean, I remember being a player and being in these situations, but it's always respectful. It's always meant for the common good of the team, and I think players appreciate that. Philly's a very unique sports town in that regard, where people, you do interact with your fans a lot here compared to other places, at least in places that I played, and it's an opportunity to have that connection. I think players appreciate the fans' passion. I think fans appreciate the players' passion, the willingness to want to engage with the fans, and I think it's a wonderful marriage. And listen, this day is not about the hockey; it's about the money that's being raised for charity. So I think that's something that we can all find common ground on, which is fun.
I guess this is a question for both. It's probably more for JJ, just because of the nature of being a play-by-play guy. But you've gone through enough stretches in your long time being play-by-play for the Flyers when the team isn't playing well. And you know that the people watching are dissatisfied. How do you find that balance? And the same question goes to you, Boosh, because you're doing analysis as well. How do you find the balance between presenting it in a way that doesn't seem like you are sugarcoating things, but also not going too far and just absolutely obliterating the team, because that's not your role either?
Right, and that's definitely a tightrope we have to walk, I should say, because you're going to have somebody mad at you either way if you go too far. So, and I've been doing it long enough that I have an idea of how far you can go. Obviously, as the fan base changes in terms of where the team's at and management changes, that line might move a little bit here and there, but you find out where that line is and you kind of walk it. I do know over the last 3 or 4 years with the team not having been in the playoffs that we get to a point in the season we kind of realize, okay, we have to start talking about the prospects, looking to the future. There is always going to be something. The one thing about this particular group is that Danny and Jonesy and Dan Hilferty and now Talk, they have not pulled punches. It has always been about building for down the road, but the teams have gotten off occasionally to pretty good starts, which tease us all, and we kind of think, hey, this might be the playoff year. And so then if the team falls back, you have to deal with that disappointment. So as the broadcasters, we kind of try to be the conduit to try to deal with that, and I think we did it a little bit in a couple of the recent broadcasts where and Boosh is very good at this, where you start talking about what this means, and it's not the end of the world, as so many people want to make it to be, and you don't lie and say everything's great either, and I think Boosh is very good at that. Jonesy, when he was my partner, was more to the point of just, this is all yours.
Was he even watching the games? I mean, come on.
But Boucher, he's very eloquent at that. Bill Clement was as well, and so you just find a way to walk that tightrope, and it's what we're paid to do.
I don't forget the days that I played too, and I know what it's like to be a player. I know what it's like to be in that room when things aren't going well, and the struggle that players face on the daily. I mean, when I played I had a lot of sleepless nights being upset about my play, being upset about our team's play, and how important that was to me. And I try not to lose sight of that as a broadcaster. Even though we want the team to do well and we may be kind of like fans at times, I try to put my hat on as an ex-player, and I don't want to say anything disparaging about a player that I wouldn't have wanted said about me, because you don't want to make it. It's not personal. This is not, like, I remember as a player I had struggles. There were times that I stunk.
When you weren't lifting the city on your shoulders.
Right.
There were a couple of times where he did that too.
Right.
It's true.
Third all-time in playoff wins, no big deal.
But, I think that, so I always have that in the back of my mind that, you've got to look at it from a player's perspective, at least I do, and understand that they're trying their best. If the effort's there and they're trying to compete, you're not going to kill them for that.
No, and that makes a ton of sense. End of the day, we're all at work. Yeah, that's you never want it to be personal, and it is personal for some fans, but you have to be able to separate it. As a player, Boosh, coming into an event like this, did you maybe feel pressure like, man, we can't lose today. We got to talk to all them tomorrow? Was that like a feeling in the room?
Was for me. Yeah. I can't speak for every other player, but I certainly didn't want to get in a situation like this and have fans come up to him and be like, yo, Boosh, what's wrong with you? Like, why can't you stop the puck? So there was a little bit more motivation to win coming into an event like this so that it could be a fun, joyous time. And I played on teams that were very good when I was here. So I was very fortunate to play on teams. We were always playoff bound. We were always thought of as one of the top, 6-8 teams in the National Hockey League. So these events generally were very positive for me.
We have had a couple of times with long losing streaks into the Carnival. And I remember as a broadcaster, 6-game winless streak. We got 2 games before the Carnival. You start saying, all right, got to win one of those 2. We got. So there's no question those games right before the Carnival. And yesterday's game was such a heartbreaker. I mean, if you connect these scores, obviously we're talking about a win, and they've turned it around, win these 2 going into the break, and you're in great shape. Instead, it goes the other way, and they score. So it's that fine line. But, you definitely, at least from a broadcaster standpoint, you're pulling for a win in the game or 2 before the Carnival. Absolutely.
JJ, just has it been an adjustment for you? Like Boosh was just saying, and my whole time growing up through high school, even into college, the Flyers didn't miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, it's a pretty regular thing. Has it been an adjustment for you? Like,
it is.
You're not a player, but
what's interesting,
you're calling the games.
I arrived here in 1993, which was after their 4th straight year out of the playoffs. My first year, they missed the playoffs for the 5th straight year, which is tied for the current streak, the longest in franchise history. The difference then was they had acquired Lindros, so there was still that excitement about Lindros, and he was a wrecking ball in those early years. He was unbelievable. So, there was that excitement, which helped with attendance. It helped with the interest. But I do remember the next year, my second year, which was the year of the first of the 3 hockey lockouts. The season got started a little late. Then we got going, and we were way down at the bottom of the standings. And that's when Bob Clark made the trade, Montreal, which was for Eric Desjardins, the throw-in kind of John LeClaire.
Great throw-in.
Yeah. And, I mean, it wasn't like a gradual they got better. It was instantaneous. The team went from one of the worst to one of the best. And from that point on, they made the playoffs every year up until 2006. So from that time on, all I knew was playoff hockey here. But I did get a feel for what it was like my first couple of years there with the team not in the playoffs and then a bad start to the next season and the angst from the fans. And I sense it again, but I also sense that Danny and Jonesy did a great job when they took over of messaging saying, listen, this isn't going to turn around in an instant. Maybe they find a trade out there that turns them around in an instant, but most likely it's going to take a little while, and it is taking a little while. They've had some setbacks. I mean, the Cutter Gauthier thing, Carter Hart thing, there have been some setbacks that have definitely delayed the rebuild, I think, a little bit. But I think we were all pretty impressed with this team through the first 3 months. I mean, we were sitting here Monday. If the Flyers beat the Islanders, they were in 3rd place in the Metropolitan Division. And here we are 6 days later, and they're 7 points back. I mean, so it turned quickly there. Maybe it can turn back. And I think talking to the players, Boosh, I get the feeling that they still remain confident. I actually expected the post-game yesterday to be morose. And it wasn't.
No. Dan Vladar in particular. Yeah, it was.
All of it. And Vladar was great. He was very critical of the team and himself. Never just throws the team under the bus. But he also said, listen, we can get this turned around.
Yeah.
And they all said that. And I thought about it. And I said, well, if you win the couple here going into the break. But then all these teams that are rolling right now, they're going to be off for 3 weeks. We have no idea what they're going to do coming out of the break. And that's where I think they have some of their hope to maybe get back into it.
Boosh, question for you. So a lot of players across every sport really transition into broadcasting with, various degrees of success. You, I think, are objectively very good at this job. Is this something that you saw yourself doing while you were a player?
Well, thank you for that. As I got
Ice cream will get you.
As I got towards the latter half of my career, I had plenty of people come up to me and say, you should think about doing this when you get done playing. Eventually, I had so many people tell me that I should do this that I kind of was like, are you trying to tell me that I'm done playing? Like I thought maybe they were trying to tell me, like you're no good anymore. Like, maybe you're never that good, and you probably should just hang them up. So I had enough people that said it to me that it was intriguing to me. I didn't know when I wanted to get into it. And when I got done playing my first year, I had gone to Switzerland. It didn't work out. I came back after 2.5 months, and then I didn't do anything the rest of the year. I got into coaching my son's hockey and whatnot. And I realized quickly in doing that I missed the everyday routine of something. And I knew that I just couldn't not do something. So I reached out to Ron Hextall about potentially for goaltending coaching or in the organization, goaltender development. He didn't have a spot for me in that regard, but he says, I'll keep in mind. And then he called me at one point and said, hey, Lehigh Valley is going to be having a minor league team. They're coming from Adirondack. They're going to want somebody to do their TV. Would you be interested? I said, sure, I'll do that. Then I started to do some pre and post for the Flyers, started to do that. And I got to admit, Keith Jones was very gracious to me in that time. When he was working for NBC Sports in Stamford, he brought me in there, and he pushed for me to be there all the time and got me new roles in the studio, then in games. And without his pushing to Sam Flood, who was the executive producer, I never really get to where I'm at. So I'm very grateful to a lot of people that helped me.
Boucher, wanted to ask you a question about the goaltending specifically. I don't think anybody has much to criticize about Dan Vladar this season, but obviously Sam Ersson's had some struggles. And I guess from your perspective, number one, like what do you think is wrong with him? And you've gone through stretches in your career where you weren't playing up to your standards, and then you turned it around. Like, what do you have to do as a goalie when you've played well before, you're not playing well now, and you have to kind of reset and figure it out on the fly?
Sometimes the hardest thing is to reset on the fly during the season. It's very difficult to not come to the rink and look at the stat pack and see where your stats are at every day. But you have to find a way. It's easier to do it, I'm saying, like when the season ends and then you start fresh the next year and you kind of get a reset. During the season, my advice would be, and this is hard in today's day and age, I stopped reading newspapers. I stopped listening to sports radio. Now, back then, that's all we had for media. Now, with social media, it becomes even more impossible to do that. But get away from that as much as you can. Stop worrying about what, and I'm not saying that this is the problem, but you don't need to be consumed with what people think of you. You only need to be consumed with how you're preparing on a daily basis. What are you doing to improve your game? So then, now when you come in, watch the video of your game. See where mistakes that you made that you want to correct the next time, and then you have to apply it. But I think when you have all of these voices and all of these outside distractions that are in your head, it stops you from focusing on what you need to do on the daily. So for me, I got away from all that stuff. And maybe early on I would say I'm not going to get on that stuff, but I kind of did. And then you go down this rabbit hole where you realize that you can't. There's only so much energy you have in a day to handle all of it. So you have to insulate yourself. And I don't know if this is the case for Sam or not, but what I would say is insulate yourself. Get into the daily process every day of what you need to do to improve your game, to limit the mistakes that you are making in games so that you don't repeat them. I think the break's going to do him wonders. Yeah. I mean, get away for a week, go in the sun, go on vacation, drop it, and then come back and be ready to work and see if you can put what was before the Olympic break in the rearview mirror and just focus on the next, what is it going to be, 27 games when we get back or whatever it is? Like 27 games. How many starts are you going to get in those 27? Probably, I would say he's going to get 8.
Yeah, 8 to 10
8?
maybe, something like that.
Okay, I got 8 starts. Start with the first start, and I'm only going to look at those 8 games as my season. You can't fix what happened in the past, and see if you can just turn it around from there. And that's all you can do. And if you can, then and if they got to turn to you, say if this team does get in the playoffs, they got to turn to you, you're going to feel much better about yourself than worrying about the guy that played in the first 3-4 months.
JJ, having a goaltender now as your primary partner, is that different? Does it make life easier because it's such a specialized position? Is it, he's always going to defend the goalies because that's what goalies do? How different is it?
It's different. Easier? I'm not sure I'd say easier. No. Different, I say for sure. I'm loving it because I've, as you said, never had a goaltender. I had forwards pretty much, and I had Bundy, a defenseman, but basically it was forwards as partners. And, they see the game one way. Boosh will come up with things that I probably should have realized, but until he said it, I didn't, about the goalie perspective and things. And I found that fascinating. I think it's helped the broadcast, and it's been great. And Boosh also has been around enough to know that the other side of it too. He can see the game from a defenseman's perspective and a forward's perspective too. But he gives us the goalie perspective, which is different. I mean, goalies are different, but the perspective is definitely different. And I've really enjoyed it. I didn't realize how much I was going to. He'll say something, and I'll say, I never thought of it that way. Should have, but I never thought of it that way from a goalie's perspective. So it's been great that way.
We are very appreciative of both of your time.
He also, by the way, says some things that I completely disagree with. No.
We do disagree quite a bit.
But it's good. It's good disagreement. It's healthy disagreement. I mean,
Yeah.
Martin Brodeur was clearly the best goaltender. He thinks it's Patrick Waugh.
Waugh.
We have this argument. But
Sorry.
I mean, it was
JJ.
Dominic
well, the fact of the matter is, I was with Marty
Patrick?
in the minors,
Yeah.
so there's
It's
no way.
definitely not Brodeur. Let's get serious.
No, I mean, he only has 120 more wins than him.
But a trap in front of him,
Played on
JJ.
better
He was
teams.
also
Played on
the
better teams.
third best defenseman. He was the third defenseman on that team. He was
saw
one of the
15
big reasons
shots in
why.
that.
He ruined the game, that stupid trapezoid.
Well, that was the trapezoid was Dominic Hasek because he kept drawing interference.
Well,
penalties
yeah, he
going
would
off.
just go back there,
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the kind of arguments we have. They're healthy arguments.
But we are both all very appreciative of both of your time. It's a great event.
Yes.
Great to be able to talk to members of the organization, broadcast team. But I'm not letting Boosh leave. Kelly and I were huge Phantoms fans growing up. I was a season ticket holder in '98. I got to know one story from that team. That was your first year pro. Just give me a little something. If it involves Frank Bialowas, that's extra points.
Frank Bialowas, every day of my rookie year pro, told me that he was going to shave my head every day.
Every day.
Every day.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Hey, you just come in the locker room and say, I'm cutting your hair.
My first year, I kind of had longer hair then, and he would say, vulgar words and tell me that he's going to shave my head, and he called me you little beep. And so in practice, he had no tape on his stick, and he wore the Gretzky Jofa for practice, right? And he'd shoot high on me every day. Like he never shot below my chest ever. So he'd hit me high. And if I even just glanced to the corner, like as if to say, like, hey, keep it down, he right away would be like, what are you looking at? I'm going to shave your head.
Oh, my God.
So finally one day, he got me pinned down with the Clippers in the locker room, and he was right over me. I'm laying on the ground, and I'm like, Frank, just do it. I mean, you said you're going to – and he didn't do it. Frank did not shave – no, but he threatened me every day. He had me on my toes because he was a scary human being. But that was a great team. I mean, we had so much fun.
So much
Back
fun.
in those days, we used to fly to Cincinnati, Kentucky. Not bus, fly. We'd fly, so you'd have to stay overnight. There's no late night flight after a game. You got to stay over. So we would have, as a team, we had so much fun at the rink, away from the rink. Such great bonds, and we had a tough team. We had a good team. You fans showed up and packed the building. For a minor league player, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, some of these minor league places, you go, you got 1,000 fans there. You guys brought 15, 16, 17,000. We thank you.
It was
for,
insane.
We thank you for that because it was amazing.
Did you guys fly commercial or did you have a charter?
Commercial.
I was going to say an AHL team having a charter would be wild.
No, that's why we didn't fly back after the game. That's why you stay overnight.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
Yeah. So you could use your imagination as to after the game. We go get dinner after the game.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of seedy establishments.
All right, well, thank you both so much for joining us today.
The ice
that was
cream's melted, though.
absolutely fantastic. My ice cream's melting. I want to get to it. Sure, Boosh does as well. But this is us, PHLY Flyers with Boosh and JJ at the Flyers Charities Carnival. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for hanging out. Be excellent to each other.